The border heats up. Meanwhile, a bipartisan group tries to restore our faith in the government. The border invasion begins. Joe Biden's border stunt. Unlikely bedfellows work on a bipartisan restoration of faith government act. Hi folks, this is Peter Boykin, and
thank you for going right with Peter Boykin. I am running for North Carolina Lieutenant Governor, and I think it's time for us to go right.
We'll be right back with GoRight News. You can follow us on GoRightNews.com for more information.
Hi fellow patriots, this is Peter Boykin from #GoRight.
Share this right now. Time to go right. The border invasion begins. In not so short of a time, over 90,000 illegal immigrants have crossed into the United States, a sign of what's to come when Title 42 expires. Title 42 is the Trump-era border policy that allowed Border Patrol to reject illegals trying to enter the U.S. on the basis of public safety due to the COVID pandemic. The official numbers. According to the U.S. Border Patrol, they encountered over 73,000 illegals over the past 10 days at the time of questioning, and admitted that another 17,000 gotaways avoided detainment. They're not sending their best. Over that same 10-day period, border agents stopped and seized 19 sex offenders, 6 gang members, 1 convicted murderer, 676 pounds of cocaine, 1,052 pounds of meth, 54 pounds of fentanyl, 19 pounds of heroin. On May 11th, with Title 42 in place, Border Patrol is able to send most illegals they encounter back across the border. But this useful policy is set to expire on May 11th, 2023. According to Texas Governor Abbott, the federal government expects about 13,000 illegals to cross the border every day once Title 42 is lifted. Reflecting on his time as Obama's Secretary of Homeland Security, Jay Johnson said in 2019, quote, "I know that 1,000 overwhelms the system, and I cannot begin to imagine what 4,000 a day looks like, so we are truly in a crisis. What we're facing today is 12 times overwhelming the system, and 3 times the crisis point, according to Obama's border chief." Now, what is Biden's plan to address the crisis? Lawlessness, basically. He plans to replace Title 42 with a policy called expedited removal. On paper, the policy allows immigration officials to quickly deport illegals who arrive at U.S. port of entries. In reality, it's full of loopholes that illegals know how to exploit. For instance, simply declaring asylum usually gets them released into the U.S. Now, gaslighting. And just as a reminder of how little the Biden regime thinks of you, the press secretary told the press this bold-faced lie. Quote, "When it comes to illegal immigration, or illegal migration, you have seen it come down by more than 90%, and that's because of the actions that this president has taken." Since Biden took office, 5.5 million illegal aliens have been encountered crossing our southern border. In Trump's full 4-year term, we had roughly 2.4 million encounters. And imagine how many more or less, actually, if we would have built that wall. The source of this is the New York Post, Statistica, FAIR, CIS, and Fox News. And you can get more news on GoRightNews.com. Joe Biden's border stunt. The Biden regime is surging 1,500 troops to the southern border ahead of the expected flood of illegal immigrants that are expected to enter the U.S. once Title 42 is lifted. While the headline sounds like a step in the right direction, it's not what you think. The troops are there to repel the illegals. They're there to welcome them into the United States. Just come on in. According to Brigadier General Pat Ryder, a Pentagon spokesperson, the Department of Defense has authorized 1,500 troops to arrive on May 10, 2023, and will be comprised of service members from the Army and the Marine Corps. Now, their task, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre made it clear that the troops would not be used to repel the illegals, telling the press that they would be performing administrative tasks like data entry and warehouse support. Now remember, once Title 42 ends on May 11th, the federal government expects as many as 13,000 illegals to cross the border per day. That would lead to nearly 5 million over 1 year. Where are these people going to work? Make no mistake, the Biden regime welcomes the flood of illegals into the U.S. to take American jobs and resources. Resources and American jobs we already don't have. What they don't want is the bad press and visuals of seeing tens of thousands of people flooding the streets of a city like El Paso. They're already making excuses of El Paso. It means the Great Pass. That's why these troops are being sent down, to keep things organized so the regime doesn't look bad. Now, what can you do? The only person with leverage in this situation is Governor Greg Abbott. Last year, he effectively shut down the bridges that Mexico uses to ship goods into the United States until they agreed to do more to control the flow of illegals. That's one opinion. The other, which I don't think he has the fortitude to do, is declare an invasion under the U.S. Constitution and begin using state personnel to deport migrants. I encourage you to contact Governor Abbott and tell him to take action today. Tell him to protect Texans. Tell him to protect Americans. His phone number is 512-463-2000. That's 512-463-2000. And you can send him a message. That is listed on our article on GoRightNews.com. The source of this is the Washington Times and the White House. And this is on GoRightNews.com. Unlikely bedfellows work on Bipartisan Restoration of Faith Government Act. Socialist Representative AOC and firebrand populist conservative Representative Matt Gaetz have teamed up to co-sponsor a bill that would ban lawmakers from trading stocks. The bill, titled the Bipartisan Restoring Faith in Government Act, was introduced by Representative AOC, a Democrat, Gaetz, a Republican, Fitzpatrick, a Republican, and Krista Murphy, a Democrat, and if passed, would restrict members of Congress, their spouses, and their dependents from owning and trading stocks. The bill also includes a provision to ban lawmakers from serving on boards of public companies. Now, why shouldn't lawmakers trade stocks? In their positions of power, members of Congress have access to classified regulatory and policy information that normal American investors do not. This gives them the opportunity to not only make investments based on their knowledge, but also opens a door to them to make policies that will benefit their investments. Representative AOC said the, quote, ability to individually trade stock erodes the public's trust in government. When members have access to classified information, we should not be trading in the stock market on it. It's really that simple. A similar bill drew support from both sides on the aisle last year in 2022, but was never brought to the floor for a vote. In other words, then Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer didn't want it to pass. Now what's changed? Leadership. Republicans now have control of the House, and Speaker Kevin McCarthy has expressed support for reining in stock trading. In an interview with Donald Trump Jr. earlier this year, he said, "I think there is a problem. You got to build trust in this institution. I'm really looking at this. I want to do it on a bipartisan basis." Now, I don't agree with AOC on much of anything. But if there are areas where the Republicans and Democrats can work together to rein in Congress, I'm all in for it. The source of this is Axios, Postmillennial, and the Don Jr. podcast. You can find more information on this on GoRightNews.com.
Hi folks, this is Peter Boykin. I am a conservative. I want to conserve our Constitution. I want to conserve our country. I want to conserve our way of life. I want to conserve our freedom. The principles of life, liberty, and justice for all. This is what makes our country what it is. So yes, I am a conservative. For some, I might not fit your definition, but that's the point. It's your definition, not mine. Life, liberty, justice for all. The power of one becomes the voice for many. Hashtag GoRight with Peter Boykin. To be a Republican and in the Republican Party.
Thanks for listening to Go Right with Peter Boykin. Please like this post, and please subscribe and follow and share this podcast to all your social media accounts, and visit GoRightNews.com for more Go Right News with Peter Boykin.
Check out this news story and more on GoRightNews.com and the podcast, hashtag GoRight with Peter Boykin.
Go Right and register to vote. Your vote matters, so vote. Go right and vote. Hashtag go right. Go right. Do right. Be right. Go right. Do right. Be right. Lead right. Think right. Vote right. Vote right. Think right. Lead right. Hashtag go right.